It's Sunday, September 29th. We have the Lions playing tomorrow on Monday. Tigers wrapped up a playoff berth this weekend. And a couple more news and notes from around the different various sports coming up. Stay tuned, including our predictions going against AI. Welcome to the show. As we stated there in the cold open, we have kind of a full day ahead of us. We're going to try to get through this as quick as possible so the show don't stay too long. So where do you want to begin there, brother? What do you want to talk about first?
Well, let's talk about our picks, because I just watched George Kittle make this fantastic catch he was triple coverage, and it was just high pointed. It brought it down, got it in. But let's talk about the picks to begin with, because I think that's kind of the easiest thing, and then maybe we can transition into the Lions pregame.
Sure. All right. Excuse me. So let me go ahead and share our Excel file with our picks here. So this is what we got going on so far. Let me blow it up a little bit, make it easier for those to see out there. Let me do that. There we go. All right. So you can see right now, Steve and I both have 4 right. ChatGPT has 3 right so far in the early games. All right. So everybody got the Cowboys right. Steve and I got the Falcons right, beating the Saints. Bears, I would say, upset the Rams. That was a little disappointing. Rams tried to come back at the end, but they couldn't quite pull that off.
Yeah.
Vikings versus Packers. The Vikings ended up winning that one. The Colts versus the Steelers. Nobody picked the Colts, especially with the way they were playing. I mean, I understand it from that perspective. We talked about it. Colts were not playing very good.
Yeah, but, and Anthony Richardson even got hurt and left that game.
And, they still pulled it out.
Yep.
I don't know what happened here with Broncos beating the Jets, but okay.
Hopefully the weather had something to do with it.
That was weird. Steve was the only one to pick the Buccaneers, and they actually pulled it out against the Eagles. I'm actually kind of glad the Buccaneers won that game. I don't know if you remember or not, brother, but that was the one I said I wasn't quite sure about that one. Right. I didn't really like that pick so much. That was one I was struggling with. So Bengals also ended up winning, and ChatGPT picked them. That's where they got that one back on us. And then they also picked the Jaguars here, but Steve and I picked the Texans, and the Texans pulled that one out. Yep. So this is where we're at coming into today. Commanders versus Cardinals. I'm the only one that stuck with the Cardinals. Currently, they're losing. They are trailing. Everybody picked the Niners, and they're winning.
Yep. Niners are winning. Yep.
GPT picked the Browns, and the Browns are currently winning by 3. Chiefs and Chargers. I went solo on the Chargers. They're currently winning 10-0. Bills versus the Ravens be tonight. And then, of course, we have the Titans and Dolphins and the Lions coming on up. So that's what it looks like right now.
Yeah. The Dolphins now, they're going to have Tyler Huntley playing quarterback. And then, so he's a pretty good backup quarterback. He's done some great things. What's it called? Not an all-star game. I'm feeling a little under the weather today.
So you mean Pro Bowl?
Pro Bowl. So he made a Pro Bowl as a backup quarterback when he stepped in when he was with Baltimore. He's only been on the team there for about a week and a half, maybe. But I think the receivers are going to greatly appreciate his ability to move around and get the ball out to him. I mean, they're down to their third-string quarterback. They've already lost 2. The Dolphins. So
yeah, I mean, again, that's another game that could go either way. Titans, Will Levis has not played good football, and he's cost them a couple games. So I don't know. It could go either way. I think overall, like we talked about last week a little bit in the last show, that the Dolphins have more stars on their team than the Titans do.
Yep.
But it's anytime you're playing with your third string QB, it's going to be tough to win.
Yes.
So,
and it's going to be a hit or miss game, I think. So we're going to see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm right now. I'm kind of disappointed in the the Raiders' performance.
Yeah.
I thought they'd come out, pretty strong after the coach kind of called them out. But there's down 10-7.
Yeah, so, I thought they'd be playing better too.
It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so with our predictions there, Lions, they're pretty devastated by injuries right now.
Yeah.
Right. So, what are you looking like there? What do you got for injuries for the Lions?
So hold on, injury report right now. Frank Ragnow is going to be out. So on the offensive side, obviously he's the captain guy, right there on the offensive line.
Yeah.
So Graham Glasgow is probably going to move down into the center position, and they're going to fill his guard position.
You would think so.
Yeah, Enos Rakestraw is listed as questionable. Ryan Branch is actually listed as doubtful due to an illness, but he's also suffering from a concussion. He was a full participant on Friday and Saturday for practice. So something happened between Saturday night, and now he's listed as doubtful. Sam Laporta is going to play. He was a full participant as well. Elaine McNeil practiced fully on Friday and Saturday, which is good news because we need that guy up in the middle there. But I know we had some guys get sent to IR that were on the defensive side.
Yeah. That's going to be a little bit tough. Jeez.
Defensive end.
Davenport. That's the guy that we, brought in, expected to kind of help out, take some pressure off Hutchinson.
Yep.
And, that did not
For the most part, it's been working up until now. So that's not it's not a good thing that he's hurt. He's got a history of injuries, but, I think you play football, you're going to have a history of injuries.
And Melifonwu got put on IR as well with a ankle. So
we're getting thin at the safety position.
Derek Barnes also IR.
Yep.
And that goes with guys that got put on the IR early in the season before the season began, like David Bada, John Kaminsky, Broderick Martin, Emmanuel Mosley, Terry Con Smith, Christian Mahogany. I just read that he looks like he could be coming back here soon. Is what I just read. But yeah, Antoine Green, he's also on the IR. Like, there's just a ton. Moody from the guard on IR. Yeah. Anyway, tons of injuries right now going on with the Lions roster, but of course it's always about next man up.
Right.
Yeah.
So Rodriguez is going to be stepping in for Barnes. He played pretty good last week, when he was in. So Rodriguez's been with the team a long time. It's not like or his 3 years. He's got 3 years with us, but he knows our system. He knows what we're trying to do. So it's not like someone's trying to just step in and has to figure it out, right? So he'll have some chemistry with the rest of those guys, and I think it'll be good. So at least the linebacking core, I think, is going to be okay.
Linebacker core will be all right. Lions love to play, a lot of nickel anyways, which, of course, puts more pressure on the let me rephrase that. Not more pressure, but it takes more people in the secondary to play the nickel. And with Melifonwu out and Rakestraw questionable, because that's who you'd kind of expect to kind of step in, more for the corner will be Rakestraw. But, now with potential of Branch, Melifonwu, and Rakestraw out, that puts a lot of even more of a question mark on the back end there. So we'll have to see if Branch or Rakestraw can actually play, which I hope they do.
Correct.
Seattle has a bunch of injuries on their defensive line. So with those injuries, it looks like it could be good for the Lions. Being able to run the ball is what we would assume and hope. Because they're really, really thin on that defensive line.
Correct. Between their linebacking core and their front four, there's 4 guys out right now. So, and one's questionable.
Yeah. So at any rate, that's what it looks like for the Lions. We don't really, we don't really do like game breakdowns or like big predictions on this show. We're just looking at the news, give you who we think is going to win, without trying to go in too deep of detail because why.
Plus, we don't really. I wouldn't say I'd have the time to sit down and break down film. Let's say this is their tendencies, and this is what we're going to think. And I think in the end, we're Lions fans. We think the Lions can beat the Seahawks. They're at that next level now. So they have to break through and beat the Seahawks at home.
I do want to bring up a little, I don't know what you want to call it here, a little bonus fact or something. Anyways, I thought it was interesting. All right, Kirby Joseph was on a podcast earlier this week, and he was talking about how he has kept every single interception that he's caught, except for one interception. Do you know which ball he did not keep? Do you know which one by chance?
No, I mean, they're playing the Seahawks, so I'd say something from the Seahawks.
I mean, it's not a bad guess, but no. It's actually from the first game of the season against the Rams when he intercepted Matthew Stafford and helped win the game.
Yep.
Yeah, he did not keep that ball. He was quoted as saying he didn't want that bad energy in his house.
Oh.
So yeah, of course, Stafford, formerly of the Lions, obviously, right?
Right.
And they know each other, so yeah, he didn't want to keep that ball, but he's kept every other ball but that one.
Okay, well, let's hope he gets another one on Monday. So
we could use it.
Yeah.
So one more note about I got one more note here I want to bring up on football. It is not Lions related, but since we're talking football, I want to bring this up because again, every time I feel like I hear an interesting fact, I kind of want to share it because if I find it interesting, someone else out there might as well. I've seen or read recently that Mahomes, in his 6 years of playing, has had 22 interceptions overturned. So 22 interceptions was overturned by a penalty in 6 years that he's been playing. Okay, sounds like quite a bit. It's almost 4 a year, almost
4. Yeah, it's three. It's definitely 3 a year, 3 plus.
Because 6 times 4 is 24. So he's too short of being 4 interceptions a year being overturned. Right now, Brady has played 22 seasons. Do you want to guess how many interceptions he threw that was overturned by a penalty?
22 years.
Yes, in 22 years.
30.
16. So.
Okay.
Mahomes has played, a little more than a third of the time Brady has.
Correct.
And he already has, almost 50% more calls overturned, interceptions overturned. Like that, to me, is a pretty crazy little fact. I have seen a lot of memes of, people making videos, saying as soon as they get the referees get the flag ready when the ball's in the air after Mahomes throws it, and they wait to see if it's intercepted or not to throw the flag. I've seen all kinds of stuff like that. And of course, I thought it was funny. I guess I just didn't realize how bad it really was until I seen this little fact. That's almost 4 per year he gets overturned.
Yeah, so that is a lot. I think you'd have to look. He's also throws the ball down the field a lot more, I think, than Brady did. So that makes a bigger difference as well. And he just on those ones, at least on some, I don't know. On some of them, he's underthrowing them on purpose, trying to draw a flag.
All I can say is it depends. You're saying it makes a difference because he goes downfield more. Now, even if he does go downfield more, the only way to make a difference is if those calls came on those passes. And I can't say for certain that's what's happened, right?
I know.
So,
and I'm not going to say, I'm not trying to defend him. I'm just, wanted to put more out, a little more information. Like, there's more to what we're saying than what we've said. Like, you'd have to break down all of those 22. When did they get them? Right? So, don't just take what we're saying as
I mean, look, no matter what, that's a lot. And I bet you if you look at anybody else in the league, nobody else even comes close to that many overturned calls.
No.
Right? So
not in that short period of time.
And I think that's why that thought exists amongst fans that the referees are ready to throw a flag anytime that
Mahomes throws the ball up.
Yeah, right. So I get it. But with that being said, we do have some awesome news though, right? Concerning our very own Detroit Tigers. For the first time in 10 years, they are in the playoffs. But it's not just that they got the playoff berth. And I think this is something that a lot of people may not know. It's not just that the Tigers made the playoffs. Right. It's just that as of August 11th, they only had a 0.2% chance of making the playoffs. Right? I mean, 0.2%.
Yeah.
And
because
obviously
wasn't it then, weren't they like 10 games out of it at that point?
I'm not really sure what what it was. I can't remember. Yeah. But I think they're, it's not just out of it. I think there were 10 games below 500 even. I don't even think that there's even a shot at the playoffs at that time.
Correct.
But a lot of it has to do with the Twins too, right? They overtook the Twins. If the Twins didn't also have a complete meltdown towards the end of the season, it didn't really matter that they went 22-8 in that time. The Twins still, even if they played 500 ball, would have still been in the playoffs. The fact that the Twins had this huge meltdown at the same time the Tigers got hot, like it just, it was like meant to be.
Correct.
So
now, if the Tigers win, because I know they were down
they were.
Looks like they're still down a run, and Kansas City was winning. Yeah, they're in the middle of the 8, 4-2. So I think if it works out, my math works out right. If the Tigers win, I think they lock in the 5th spot because they'll have the better record than Kansas City.
I don't know about that.
Right now they're a game up on Kansas City.
Oh, with Kansas. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
But if we lose and they win, I think Kansas City has that tiebreaker, so they would take the 5th spot and we'd get the 6th spot and have to go to Houston.
They do have the tiebreaker, yes. So we'll either play Baltimore or Houston.
Correct.
But here's the thing, though, all right? I would almost prefer to play Houston.
Yeah?
Yeah. We just got done playing Baltimore, and that was a huge series for us.
Yes.
And that was one of the series that we ended up winning, right?
Correct.
So I think we obviously played Houston, but we played Houston earlier on in the year. Mm-hmm. So I think right now the team's completely different than what it was earlier in the year. So, I know it's different. It's completely different. And I think that could have a little bit of a surprise with Houston. Right? Like, I don't think it's a surprise Baltimore. Baltimore, we just played them, like I said. So that's why I think it might be better for us to play Houston anyways. Different team.
Okay. So I think the Tigers
are now down 9-4, by the way.
9-4. Okay. Yeah, the Tigers have just been awesome here over the last 6 weeks. You can't say enough about the young players that have produced, the coaching staff, just everything that's involved in that. So it's exciting because it's been so long since we've been in the playoffs.
Yeah, 10 years.
I just feel like we're talking about a 3-game series, and we only need to win 2 to get into the next round, into the ALDS.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like right up our alley. So
that's, one of the reasons why they're saving Skubal, right?
Yep. So
he'll pitch game 1.
He'll obviously pitch game 1, correct. And nothing wrong with a little extra rest.
Right, exactly. Now, a couple, again, little factoids, right, for the Tigers, since we're talking Tigers right now. The 41-game stretch that they had, it was the best 41-game stretch the Tigers have had since 1984, when they won the World Series. There's only 2 Tigers that's currently on the active roster that have playoff experience, and that's Maeda and Vierling. If you remember, Vierling went to the World Series with the Phillies.
Okay.
Tigers currently have the youngest active roster, and but here's the biggest fact that I thought was, like, we talked about how this whole team has participated, right? Like, contributed to this run, to this team, to the overall success this year for the Tigers. Like, there's no just one awesome player, like saying Aaron Judge. We don't have an Aaron Judge on this team.
Right.
Like, this team reminds me a lot of the Detroit Pistons, back like Chauncey Billups and Tayshaun Prince, right? Where there wasn't just one superstar that was carrying the team. It was a team effort.
It was our blue collar team.
That's how this team feels right now, the Tigers.
Yeah. Yep.
So get this, man. There has been 20 different players on the Tigers that have hit the game-winning RBI, right? Like, that's what it means. It just like blows my mind that there's been 20 different players with the game-winning RBI base hit. So another little factoid, not Tigers related, but the White Sox have now broken the record for most losses in a season. So that's there. Ohtani now will not be a Triple Crown winner. He has not hit very well in the last 2 games. Well, let me rephrase that. He hasn't hit well enough in the last couple of games. He's been on fire the last couple of weeks, just in general. His batting average over 600. It's been insane. But these last couple games just was not enough because he was down. I think his batting average was something like 270 something at one point. And then he got on fire, and now he was like second in the National League, only behind Arias. And it looks like Arias all but locked it up at this point. Like, not only did Ohtani have to hit well, but Arias had to hit poorly, the last couple of games, and that did not happen. So, look, still an awesome season for Ohtani. But yeah,
still an MVP season.
It's definitely an MVP season. It's just that he can't, go around and put like a little exclamation point on it with a Triple Crown as well, right?
Yeah,
so
Triple Crown is like that's the.
Well, there has not been a Triple Crown winner in the National League since like 1930 something.
Oh, geez.
Let me see if I can find that. I can't remember exact year. Let's see. Last National League Triple Crown winner. Here we go. Thank you, Google. 1937. So anyway, yeah, it's not looking like it's going to happen. It's almost impossible. Let's see how Ohtani did today.
That's a tough thing to do.
Yes,
right?
It is.
So, Triple Crown is best batting average, most RBIs,
and home runs.
Most home runs.
Yep. And Ohtani only went 1 for 4, so his batting average dropped to a 310 right now. 310. It's bottom of the ninth, so he's done. No more at bats for him. He is done. And Arise playing with San Diego. Let's see what he did today. Arise went 1 for 3, so his batting average is 314. So, yeah. I mean, look. let me pull up Baseball Reference here, and do a split for Ohtani because like this is insane. What he did last couple weeks of the season here. Now, this does not take into account today's game. I just want to make that very clear. Mm-hmm. But going back to, let's see, all the way to August, we'll go to August 23rd. They started a series against Tampa Bay, and they ended the series against Seattle. I guess that's a pretty decent spot to go. That's 33 games. All right. Now, listen, this is like video game stats. In 33 games, he had 15 home runs. So basically 1 every other game. He had 42 RBIs, 9 doubles, 1 triple. He walked 12 times, would typically walk twice as well. His batting average was 380. Slugging was 788. Ops was 1222 or 1226. So that's that. But if you take a smaller sample size, all right, and you go back to why is it not working for me now? I hate when it does this. And you go back just a couple weeks. You have this site is now making me angry. Let's try this again. Because it's like not working right what I want it to do. All right. Over the last 9 games, again, not counting today, Ohtani's batting .667 with a .705 on base percentage. Right? So that's 9 games, 6 home runs, 20 RBIs, 6 doubles. Like, so out of his 26 hits, 12 of which were extra bases. Wow. Again, that was insane. All right.
Yep.
There we go. That's what I was trying to do. So, yeah, still a great season. Not a Triple Crown winner. Another thing I want to bring up here real quick, brother, was Max Scherzer. Of course, he was a former Tiger. Yep. So, Max Scherzer, I know you don't follow baseball quite as closely as what I do, but after Scherzer left the Tigers, he went to the Nationals,
Yep.
Then from the Nationals, the Mets,
To the Mets.
and then the Mets traded him to the Rangers.
Yep.
Okay, so this year, Scherzer is being paid $15 million by the Nationals. He's being paid $30.8 million from the Mets, and he's being paid $12.5 million from the Rangers. So altogether, that's like over $58 million is being paid, and he's pitched a total of 9 games for the Rangers this year.
Yeah. Yeah. And that Nationals and Mets pay he's going to be getting for like another 10 years or something, or at least the Mets pay. I was talking about that one of the guys I was working on the float with.
Yeah.
And we were talking about Bobby Bonilla Day and
Yep.
how much he's getting paid and how long he's been getting paid and how long he's not played. And Max Scherzer came up and it was like, yeah, look, this is how much he's getting paid from here. This is how much he's getting paid from here. And when he signed with the Mets, like he intentionally he structured his contract that way. So like he deferred the money, kind of like Ohtani's deferred his money. Right.
Well, I mean, there's been a lot of that's what a lot of people don't really know. Honestly, it's like there's been so many players: Chris Davis, Manny Ramirez, Ken Griffey Jr., Matt Holliday. So many that's had this money deferred. Even, and of course, those are all players like from previously, but even Rafael Devers from the Red Sox, he's getting $7.5 million from 2034 all the way to 2043. From the Red Sox. Mookie Betts, he also deferred. So, there's a lot of, and there's, excuse me. But yeah, for what you were saying about Max Scherzer, so the Nationals contract is $15 million a year all the way through 2028. So Max Scherzer will be getting that all the way through 2028. Strasburg. Again, that's another Nationals guy. He's getting money all the way up to 2029. Lindor, same thing. Jacob deGrom. I mean, look, Kristen Yelich. So many teams do it.
Yeah, and I don't think any of those players that you just mentioned are even with the Nationals anymore. Didn't Strasburg retire? Did you get injury
more or less? Yeah, because of injuries. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, and then the Mets did it because Lindor, deGrom, those two guys there with the Mets. Chris Sale, another Red Sox player. So with the Red Sox, he's getting $10 million a year from 35 to 39. So yeah, it's very interesting, anyways. Like the whole deferred payment thing. But I just thought it was just quite amusing. $58 million, and he's pitched 9 games.
Yeah.
So,
well, I was thinking, when did we put the Tigers, the shortstop? Oh, he's so forgettable. I forget his name.
Baez.
When did he go? Like, when did he stop playing?
Was it like August 10th?
Oh, when the Tigers actually started winning.
Yeah, it was like, his last game was like August 10th, and the Tigers started winning August 11th. Yeah, like it was literally the next day.
Yeah. So I'm hoping now that the ownership and management sees that, right? Like they'll just cut bait.
They need to cut bait. We talked about that a lot, right?
Yep.
Like, there's no reason for them to hold on to Baez at this point. Like there was a lot of. I'm kind of cutting or changing subjects. Well, not really. I'll bring it back just a second, but a lot of the fans were upset that the Tigers were not spending money on free agents and bringing them in. And one of the things that the management team had said was, well, we don't want to bring in these free agents, pay them for all these years, and then block our younger players coming up through the system, because they want these younger players to play.
Yeah.
And we kind of seen what happened here with, all these young guys coming in. I mean, you sit there, you trade off 4 veterans like, Gio Urshela, Flaherty, et cetera. You trade all these guys off, and then young guys come up and we start winning. Like it was pretty amazing. Well, Baez, if you keep Baez on the team, he's blocking a young player. So like you just can't keep him. I'm sorry. Baez put out on Instagram a video of him in a batting cage taking batting practice, and it was captioned something along the lines of, I can't wait to come back next year. And look, no hate, but I don't want you back.
I don't.
And it has nothing. And we got a shortstop right now. This is the guy I want playing shortstop. I don't want Baez at shortstop.
Yeah, was it Trey Sweeney? Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah, Trey Sweeney.
Yeah.
Right. Like he's done some really good defensive work at shortstop, and he's not an automatic out, you know,
Yeah.
at the plate. So I'm fine with him right now.
Yeah, we're shoring up our up the middle.
That's always the most important, right? I talk about that so much.
You say it a lot, so that's why I wanted to bring it out there one more time.
But Parker Meadows, though, dude. So I don't know if you know this. Let's see if I can Google it. I forgot the exact numbers here. But Parker Meadows has been the biggest difference. And if you remember, I was a big fan of putting Parker Meadows on this team. Yes. Like, I wanted him on this team. I knew that with him in center field, moving Riley Green to a better position for him. Riley Green can play center, but it's better that he's not in center.
Right.
So Parker Meadows, when he is in the starting lineup, the Tigers are 42-23.
That's pretty good.
Like, he is that catalyst, because not only is he that good in center field, as far as like making defensive, saving runs and, because all these diving catches, stolen homers, etc. But he's also pretty decent on the base pass, as well as just getting on base, right? Like, he had a couple big hits there towards the end of the season that either was a tying run, winning run, etc. Meadows has been amazing, and so he is probably the most important player on the Tigers, not named Skubal. And you can make the case for Riley Green, but definitely, between Green, Skubal, and him, there you go. That's the top three most important players on the team.
And I can tell you that Meadows struggled early in the season. Like, he made the team coming out of training camp, right? And that was huge because he played well at the end of the last year. He deserved to be on a spot on the team, and he struggled at the plate.
He did struggle at the plate.
I think he had a long stint in the minors. Down back at AAA Toledo to get right, and it has paid off for us here down the stretch.
Well, the reason he stayed in on the active roster so long at the beginning of the season was because of his defense. Like, he still had a positive WAR because how good his defense was, even though he's hitting below 200.
Yeah. It's awesome. There's a lot of great things happening here in Detroit, right? Tigers are in the playoffs. Hockey season has started up here again, right? So we got the Red Wings playing. The Lions look like, I think they're going to be a decent team this year. They're going to be back in the playoffs. We just need to bring around our Pistons and see what we're going to get with them.
That's true. But I want to just say one more thing about the Tigers, all right?
Sure.
Was, like, one of the things I don't think is talked enough about, like, either by the, like, announcers when listening to them, or, people like us just, talking in a microphone.
Right.
One thing I don't think is being talked about enough is their base running. Like, if you look at how aggressive they've been on the bases, so many times going from first base all the way home on a base hit in order to score a run, or stretching that single into a double. It's the base running that has absolutely led to a lot of these victories. It's been heads up base running. There was was it just yesterday? I was watching the game, and it was, we got a double when it should have been a single. I'm trying to think who it was. I'm sorry. I'm blanking on exactly what happened, but it's the base running has just been unreal.
Yeah.
And it's from all of them, not just the faster guys like Parker Meadows or McKinstry, right? Like, everybody, even Jake Rogers, like, they're all smart on the base paths. They and I love it. Anyway, that's it. Like, they don't steal a lot of bases, right? It's not about stealing bases. It's about just taking that extra base on a base hit, and that's not talked about enough. Anyway, I think that was everything I wanted to say about the Tigers currently, except for, I'm excited to see them in the playoffs for the first time in 10 years.
Yeah.
This playoff berth felt just so magical that I actually watched the entirety of the broadcast for the their celebration. I watched the entire thing.
Yeah.
It's like I was there with them. I was celebrating with them. I was so happy that they got that. I watched the entire thing.
I saw the TikTok of it. You guys said you know what you wanted. Well, you said you wanted to be a playoff
a
team.
playoff team. Yeah,
and here they are. So
you know what else they did? I don't know if look. So they took their team picture, right? They clinched the playoffs. They took their team picture. There was out there on the mound, lining up. Well, there's this. They call him a super fan or whatever it is, right? He's always got I guess like a seat behind their dugout, some sort of super fan, and they actually called the super fan out of the stands to come sit with them and take a picture as part of the team when they clinched their playoff berth.
Wow,
is that not awesome?
That is awesome.
Like, I've never seen that done before.
No.
So if you Google their picture, he's the guy in the front row, and the guy was even interviewed, right? And he's saying like, I know my place. I was gonna go try to hide in the back or something like that, but they're all like pushing me forward to sit in the front. So if you look at the team picture they took, he's the guy in the front row holding up a sign saying, "Don't let the Tigers stay hot." Like,
oh yeah,
he's just a fan, and they call him out of the bleachers. That is, I mean, talk about a moment, man. That's awesome for that guy.
It is. That's something that he'll never forget.
Yeah, and now it's in the history. He's with the team with their picture, right? Yeah. Like, that's amazing. That that's a feel good story. Love it for that guy.
But yeah, that's kind of. I mean, that's kind of our wrap up. Talked about everything we're gonna say. Playoffs start next week, I assume. I know tomorrow there's a doubleheader for the Mets and Braves that they had to make up, but those will be the last two games of the regular season. So I would say that the playoffs are going to start at least Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, somewhere in that time frame.
I want to show you a picture real quick. This to me is like the image, the picture. This is what it just feels like. The what's the word I'm looking for? This represents the Tigers in so many ways. Ready? This is what I want to share with you. Hey, why is it not? Do you see this picture? That's not what I was trying to show there for a second, but oh well. But yeah, Matt Vierling screaming, right? Like that. I don't know. He did that right. When they beat Tampa Bay, they came from behind, won 4-3.
Yep.
But that primal roar was just pretty awesome. So
this is a team that's going to be scary in the playoffs. So,
and I'm trying to bring up so much stuff that I haven't been able to say, because we've been so focused on other things.
Yep.
But Caitlin Clark. So obviously she brought her team to the
got them to the playoffs.
Playoffs, right? Now they lost. Yep. Whatever. That's fine.
Yep.
Still had a good season. Let's talk about viewership. All right, for all rated networks for the WNBA games. If you look at the games Caitlin Clark played in, and you look at all other games for the WNBA, what percentage wise, what do you think? Because we know the viewership was higher in Caitlin Clark games, but do you know by how many? Like what percentage higher?
20%.
200%.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So
yeah, it's she's the X factor, right? She's just exciting to watch. She gets out there. She's enthusiastic. There's a lot of things I've seen her do. Like she needs to work controlling her temper and just
sure.
Right, but I understand the competitive fire, right? But so that she's not taking away from what's happening on the court. So,
but 200% difference. So yeah. Again,
I'd like to see what the viewership is of the playoffs now that she's not in it. Obviously, I know. I mean, you're talking about the difference, but if you look at the stadium and the teams, like the attendance at the stadium, not just viewership, I guess.
Right.
The attendance at the stadium is dropping. Not that I'm telling you, you got to do whatever you can to keep her in the playoffs. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just that's what she brings to the NBA or the WNBA, and I think I know there's a lot of talk about this, that, and the other, but they've got the WNBA needs to learn how to channel and market what is happening with Caitlin Clark.
I agree with you, but I think what they need to do is learn how to market these other players, right? Caitlin Clark is a great player. Don't get me wrong, right?
Right.
She wasn't the MVP.
No.
You know, so like there's a lot of other talented players in the WNBA, and they have to learn how to market them.
Right.
Just how, you know, now Caitlin Clark was kind of like self-marketing, really. You know, it was because of what she did during the NCAA, and those fans came over to watch her in the WNBA, right? So
Right.
the WNBA just don't know how to market yet. That's just the bottom line, I think. Once they learn how to, because like even when you started looking at like a lot of what was happening in the WNBA, some of the records that was being made, like Angel Reese, for an example, with those double doubles and stuff like that. Most of the stuff that they were doing, and you heard it from, was like ESPN or other sports commentators. Like no, like the WNBA not put out anything talking about like records being broken or whatever, right? Now I'm not an Angel Reese fan specifically, right? But when you're breaking records and you know like that, like you still have to market it to attract more fans, and they haven't done it anyways.
No. Well, the NBA did it when Larry Bird and Magic Johnson came in the league.
That's the perfect example.
Yeah.
Basketball was, you know, like dying before they started marketing that.
So they need to figure that out. If they can figure that out, you move it around 2 players, but it grows from there, right?
It grows from there. Yep. And I think you have to, you know, again, pick those players that are the most marketable, you know, your best players, right? Yeah. Do something with those players.
Correct.
You know, and it's not just the best players that you have currently. It's with Caitlin Clark coming into the WNBA. A lot of people started following the WNBA, you know, like the draft. So a lot of these players that are rookies have name recognition just because of people following Caitlin Clark in the draft. You could market some of those players that help out. Like there's different ways of doing it, and they've done nothing with it. So, but anyway, so I just want to bring that up because I just thought that was an interesting little tidbit. Again, you know, I love my interesting tidbits. 200% more viewership for Caitlin Clark games. But anyway, I'll. You have anything else you want to say, brother, before we wrap it up?
No, I think that's pretty much it. You know, fingers crossed the Lions put up a good showing. The Wolverines are not looking great, but that's a show for another day.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And by the way, the playoffs start Tuesday for baseball.
Tuesday. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's been like as a fan for Detroit sports, it's been pretty fun watching everything. You know, so you know, like go Tigers, go Red Wings, go Lions. Let's just start winning, right?
Detroit needs it. And every one of our teams play in Detroit, right?
Yeah, no more Auburn Hills and stuff like that anymore, right? Like
like the Comerica Park and Ford Field are next door to each other, and if you go up a couple extra blocks, that's where the Pistons and Red Wings play at LCA. So
all right. Well, look, if you made it this far with us, we appreciate you. We're going to try to do, of course, more shows, depending on some availability we got going on. Because, again, we have real lives we got to deal with, too, and kind of schedule everything around that. But we appreciate you watching, listening, and we'll talk to you next time.
Yeah, take care, everybody.